The sun had not yet burned the chill from the Nevada desert when the first crack of gunfire rolled across Camp Ravenwood. For 3 seconds, the range froze, smoke drifting, dust hanging in the air, and then every head turned. Not to the seasoned men with weathered faces and decorated shoulders, but to the lone rookie standing at the far end of the line, Lyra Kane, recruit, scout sniper trainee. The girl no one expected to last a week in the desert, much less stand among legends. Who put the rookie on the line? Master Sergeant Victor Petrov's voice carried like a whip, dragging a ripple of laughter from the crowd of elite marksmen. She'll break her shoulder before she breaks a target. Lyra didn't flinch. Regulation stance. Boots rooted in the gravel, jaw set hard enough to crack stone. She felt their eyes carving her down to size unwanted, untested, unworthy. And yet her hands didn't tremble when the quartermaster crew rolled out the beast, the Snipex Alligator. The rifle looked less like a weapon and more like an artillery piece. 4 feet of steel and menace, chambered in 14.50 of 114 millimeter rounds, designed to punch through armored vehicles, not paper targets. Even the veterans shifted uncomfortably as the weapon thudded onto its bipod. Colonel Thomas Rourke stepped forward, his face lined by 3 wars and 100 battles. His voice cut through the murmurs. This is Longshot Line. Today we separate myth from reality. Targets are set at 2,000 meters and beyond. Wind, mirage. Shifting light, it will be combat without the bullets flying back. Lyra swallowed the dry desert air, her throat burning with equal parts heat and anticipation. She wasn't supposed to shoot today. Her assignment was to observe, take notes, learn quietly. But when Rourke's eyes scanned the line, pausing on her, she saw it in his gaze a challenge, and maybe, just maybe, an invitation. "Rookie Kane," he barked. "You've been staring long enough. Let's see if you can handle something heavier than a clipboard." The laughter rose again, sharper this time, but under it there was tension, a flicker of curiosity, the kind that comes before a storm. Lyra stepped forward, boots grinding gravel, every mocking eye boring into her back. The alligator loomed like a monster waiting to be tamed. She gripped the receiver, the weight nearly tearing from her arms, and lowered herself prone. The desert fell silent. The veteran snipers, the observers, even Petrov with his cruel grin, they all waited to see her fail. Lyra settled behind the scope, green eyes narrowing against the shimmer of heat waves. Her heart slowed, breath measured. The laughter faded into static at the edges of her mind. In her world, there was only target, wind, and steel. She pressed her cheek to the comb, finger brushing the trigger, and in that suspended instant before the thunder, before the judgment, every soldier on that line realized the rookie wasn't afraid. The command was about to be given. The first round chambered, and the rookie, everyone mocked, was seconds away from pulling the trigger that could shatter every expectation. The air over the range was shimmering now, bullets carving echoes into the dry basin. Sergeant Marcus Reyes' M40A5 cracked 3 times in steady rhythm, 3 perfect hits. Even the veterans nodded. Respect was earned, shot by shot, and Reyes delivered. Then came Master Sergeant Victor Petrov. His every move radiated ownership, as if the range itself bowed to him. He leveled his Barrett M82A1, the muzzle brake glinting in the sun, and let loose a thunder that seemed to shake the horizon. The steel target at 2,400 meters rocked with each hit. Soldiers erupted with cheers. Petrov didn't acknowledge them. He just cleared the chamber and slung the Barrett as if it weighed nothing. His message was clear. This was his kingdom. Lyra Kane stood among the recruits, the desert heat wrapping her in silence. She had no cheers, no reputation, just the weight of the alligator waiting in the sand ahead. Colonel Rourke's voice carried. sharp as a whip. We've seen skill at range, but skill isn't enough. He gestured at the hulking rifle. The alligator doesn't forgive. It decides. The words rippled through the line. Some soldiers smirked, others looked away. Kane stepped forward when her name was called. Every eye tracked her, measuring, mocking. Petrov's stare cut through her like a blade. She dropped into position behind the weapon. The ground seemed to tilt under its weight. Through the scope, the horizon blurred in heat waves. Distance numbers rattled in her head. Wind drift, bullet drop, mirage distortion. Every factor stacked against her. Behind, whispers rose like static. She'll choke. She'll miss. She doesn't belong here. Her cheek pressed to the comb, breath steady, crosshairs drifting across endless desert. The rangemaster lifted a hand. Target 3,000. 712 meters. The smirks turned to disbelief. That was no test. That was an execution. Lyra Kane adjusted one final dial, eyes narrowing. For a heartbeat, the desert went silent. The trigger broke. The range fell into a hush that pressed against Lyra Kane's ears. She was no longer just another recruit. Every eye, from Colonel Rourke's to Petrov's narrowed glare, was fixed on her. The Snipex Alligator crouched on the sandbags before her, its 14.5's Mohanadaful Primat chamber, a relic from anti-material warfare. Men called it a cannon disguised as a rifle. Lyra lowered herself behind it, cheek pressed to the comb, breathing out until the chaos of whispers faded into silence. At 3,712 meters, the target looked like a grain of dust. Dawkins had confirmed the distance twice. 7 seconds of bullet flight stood between her and either humiliation or legend. Lyra worked through her process scope set. Elevation dialed. Windage calculated. The spotter called the gusts, but the math was hers alone. Bullet drop would measure yards, not inches. Heat shimmer and desert mirage twisted the air like glass. One miscalculation, and the shot would vanish into nothing. Behind her, Petrov's voice cut like a snare. Let's see if the rookie survives recoil before she worries about the target. A few chuckles echoed, brittle and nervous. She ignored him. One breath in, one out. Trigger slack taken up. The alligator roared, kicking back like a hammer strike. Dust clouded the firing line for 7 eternal seconds. Silence reigned. Then Impact Dawkins shouted, voice cracking with disbelief. Center mass direct hit. The range erupted. Some cursed, others laughed in shock. One man clapped before stopping himself. Petrov shoved past, demanding the scope. His silence afterward was louder than his protests had ever been. Rourke's expression hardly shifted, but his voice carried. One shot at 3,712 meters. Document it. Lyra stayed motionless, her body trembling with adrenaline, even as her face remained stone. Inside, her chest burned, but she had learned long ago never to show weakness. Petrov spat the word like poison. Fluke. Rourke didn't bother to answer. He only said, Recruit Kane. Prepare a second round. The crowd stilled again. This was no longer about luck. This was trial by fire. Lyra reloaded, chambered, and set herself once more. The air seemed thicker, the wind sharper, every heartbeat louder. The second shot cracked, another roar across the desert. Again the excruciating weight. Then Dawkins. Steadier this time, hit confirmed. 1 inch right of center, 2 for 2. The silence that followed wasn't disbelief. It was awe. Instructors who had mocked her hours ago now looked at her like she'd broken the laws of gravity. Colonel Rourke finally turned, addressing the assembled snipers. Gentlemen, mark this day. You've witnessed something historic. His eyes locked on Lyra. Report to my office tomorrow. In 100 hours. Petrov's jaw worked, but no words came. He pushed past her, his shoulder hard against hers. Lyra didn't flinch. She'd already learned the truth in this world. Respect was earned in steel and silence. Tomorrow's meeting would decide whether her shot made her a legend or a threat too dangerous for the army to keep in the shadows. The next morning, Lyra Kane stood before a row of senior officers. Spine straight, palms pressed against her thighs. The conference room at Camp Ravenwood smelled faintly of coffee and paper, ordinary scents for an extraordinary moment. General Harrington began without preamble. Yesterday's demonstration has created both an opportunity and a problem. His tone was clipped, the kind that cut clean through nerves. Colonel Rourke slid a folder across the table. Your record says 6 months of basic training, recruit status, nothing more. But you're also a 3-time civilian long-range champion. Thunder Ridge. 2 years running. Unofficial extreme distance record holder. 3 7 to 12 meters. Why wasn't this in your file? Lyra kept her voice level. I wanted to earn my place without shortcuts. Sir, my father taught me ability speaks loudest when you let it. The officers exchanged glances. Harrington's brow furrowed. Well, it spoke. Loud enough that Special Operations Command was on the phone before sunrise. He leaned back. Your performance embarrassed instructors who should have outclassed you. That complicates things. A silver-haired female colonel folded her hands. It means you're misplaced, effective immediately. You're removed from standard recruit status and transferred to advanced marksmanship group. You'll enter Phase 3 of the Scout Sniper program. For a heartbeat. Lyra's composure cracked. Phase 3 was normally reserved for veterans. Men with years in uniform. She drew in a breath. Yes. Ma'am. Rourke's gaze was steady. Understand this. You'll face resistance. Petrov has already lodged a protest, calling yesterday an anomaly. From the back of the room, Petrov's lip curled. He didn't speak, but his muttered fluke was sharp enough to carry. Lyra didn't look at him. With respect. Sir, I'm ready to demonstrate consistency. Rourke allowed the faintest hint of a smile. You already have. But you'll be reporting directly to Master Sergeant Petrov in Phase 3. He will be your evaluator. A chill tightened in her gut. Petrov would hold her fate in his hands. She nodded. I understand. General Harrington rose to his feet, signaling the end. One last note. What you did yesterday wasn't just remarkable. It was historic. The longest confirmed shot on record by a female soldier. You may not have wanted attention, but now you have it. Handle it well. When she left the office, the air outside felt heavier. Whispers chased her across the base. Some voices admired, others doubted. But all of them knew her name now. In the mess hall, conversation died when she walked in. Then came the low murmurs, the stolen glances. Staff Sergeant Reyes slipped into step beside her. Congratulations, he said under his breath. And condolences. She managed the ghost of a smile. Condolences, Petrov's been fuming all morning. Says he'll prove you got lucky. Then I'll keep proving he's wrong. Reyes gave a quiet chuckle. Careful. He doesn't like being outshined. By anyone. His eyes met hers. But you've got more support than you realize. As he walked away, Lyra felt the weight of the room pressing in doubt, envy, respect all tangled into one. 6 months of anonymity had been erased by 7 seconds of bullet flight. Tomorrow she would face Petrov again, this time under his command. If yesterday had rewritten the record books, tomorrow would decide whether she could survive the man determined to erase her name from them. The briefing hall was colder than the desert outside, its concrete walls swallowing sound. Lyra Kane stood at attention beneath the glare of fluorescent lights. Her shadow stretched long across the floor. Across from her sat Colonel Rourke, Brigadier General Harrington, and a handful of senior officers, men and women whose words could change a soldier's life in a sentence. Harrington clasped his hands behind his back. Recruit Kane, yesterday you made history. Twice. But records are one thing. What matters is whether you can be trusted with what comes next. Lyra held his gaze. Sir, I didn't come here to make records. I came to serve. Rourke leaned forward. The folder opened before him. 3,712 meters? Confirmed twice. That makes you the most accurate marksman we have on file. And yet, 6 months ago, you were a logistics transfer. No combat ribbon, no deployment record. To some, that imbalance is unacceptable. His eyes shifted to Petrov, standing stiff at the edge of the room. The master sergeant's jaw was tight, his glare hot enough to burn. Petrov finally spoke, each word measured. Permission to be candid. Sir, granted. Harrington said. She's untested. One exhibition doesn't make her ready for the field. I've buried men with 10 years' experience who never made a shot like that. What happens when she freezes under fire? When lives depend on her? The silence was heavy. Lyra's throat tightened, but she forced her voice steady, with respect. Master Sergeant, I didn't freeze yesterday. I won't freeze tomorrow. Her words cut the air clean. Even Petrov didn't answer. Harrington's gaze swept the room. History is written by those willing to stand when others doubt. Kane, effective immediately. You are promoted to advanced sniper training, reporting under Phase 3, and you will serve as candidate for integration into the Ghost Division. The officers shifted. Murmurs spreading. Ghost Division wasn't spoken of lightly. Officially, it didn't exist. Lyra's chest tightened. She had heard the whispers: Black Ops deployments, missions without patches or medals, soldiers who vanished into shadows. She swallowed hard. Yes. Sir. Rourke closed the folder with finality. Understand this, the uniform doesn't guarantee respect. Every shot, every mission, you'll earn it again and again. That is the price of standing where you do now. As the meeting broke, Petrov stopped in front of her, for once. His voice wasn't mocking. It was low, hard, but almost grudging. You've got aim. Let's see if you've got endurance. Lyra didn't flinch. I'll see you on the line. Master Sergeant. He gave the faintest nod before walking out. Outside, the Nevada's sun was merciless, baking the sand and steel of Camp Ravenwood. But to Lyra, it felt different now, less like a weight, more like a challenge. She wasn't just a recruit anymore. She was a sniper candidate for the shadows, where legends were either broken or forged. Her story had begun with whispers and mockery. It would continue in silence and steel. And somewhere beyond the horizon, a target waited, daring her to prove. Once again, that impossible was only a word.